Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and we're going to continue on trying to finish the piece here that I call the torch trolley. I don't know if that's the right name for it or not, but that's my name for it, okay? And when we left off in the other part, I was still working on the little square piece to hold the torch. And there's a whole lot of work to come after that, and I started getting a little in a bind there, of course, because getting close to Thursday, and in fact it's Wednesday, and I got to finish something here that I can put in a video. I didn't have one last week, so at least we'll have one this week. So instead of talking more, which I did too much of in the first video, let's just get on with the job. Alright, so now I got this guy bored, and you can see there's a shoulder down in there where it's smaller on that end for the smaller part of the torch, and the torch fits right in there nice and snug with the working parts sticking out, and you can see that it's right up close there and right up close here. So the next step is I need to split this thing right across here. But before I do that though, I'm going to drill the hole to pinch it with. Then I'll slit it through here, and we'll see if maybe I need to slit it through here too. I might need to cut it a little bit to make it more flexible. But we're getting closer to this piece being done. I had at first imagined putting it on a swivel like this and this, and then I realized that it's pretty well straight up and down on that little carriage part that holds it. And if I need it, you know, tilted, I can just drill the holes a little bit oversized and surely tilt it more than necessary. And if it needs to be front to back tilt, well, I can shim the thing. So we're going to simplify that part and just drill a couple of holes in the back to screw the thing, screw the thing down to the carrier. This number 25 drill, which my drill chart says is 75% thread for a number 10 screw. I'll put two of them in there, and I'm going to drill all the way through the block, provided it reaches that far. I think it will. Then I'll come back and drill a little past halfway with a larger bit, so that, you know, we can come down without having to thread anything but just the bottom end of the hole. And after that, then I'll countersink it with an even larger bit so that the head of this screw will sink into it and be even with the surface. That should make everything wonderful. Alright, we'll try power feed. See if it's too fast or not. I'm not at all certain this thing's going to drill 2 inches deep. I didn't measure the bit, so I'm not certain at all about what it can do. Come back up and clean the chips. It's going to go like that. The little holes up and down, up and down. So I'll let you take a little nap. When I split it open, the cutter running about twice as fast as it ought to, but I figured in aluminum I could get by with it, and I did. Right in the middle of it I thought, well, I could have done this just as well with the bandsaw. Of course it wouldn't have been as straight a cut, but I imagine if I need to thin down the back part of it there any, I'll do that on the bandsaw. We don't need really that large a cut. I just don't happen to have a lot of thinner slitting saws. When you're making stuff, you ought to check to see that it fits, and this does clamp down on the torch. I need longer screws in here. I've used number 10 24 screws for everything because I thought it'd give me a little bit of interchangeability. And I need some longer ones for this thing. I need about 1 3/4 inch, 1.5 inch. But I'm going to try to find some 1 3/4 screws. If I go and buy them from Home Depot, they're only a little over $1 a piece. Or I can buy them off of Amazon from some guy that sells them in a box of 25 for about 50 cents a piece. So I may buy the box of 25 or even the box of 50 just to get some of them that are a little cheaper. I'm sure you'd do that too. I've got to show you where I put Mr. Vernon Currier's Material Patriot sticker. He's right there by Metalworks Machine Shop and Pierre's Garage. So I think that's a good spot. I'm right beside Pierre myself. Alright, so here's this guy right here. We just bored and split and everything. He's mounted on this guy. This is the top of the travel. Goes down from there, up, down. And I imagine you wondering what this hole is for. Right there. That's so I can tighten that wheel right there. So there you go. That much is done. Now it's still not finished. Even after all this, it's not finished. I've got to make a support here for the little bearings that are going to run that screw up and down. It's got to be a support so this bearing can get mounted on here. Okay? You got to have another one mounted down here on the bottom here too. So there's no rest for the wicked. When I get that done, I should be pretty well finished, and then I can go and mount this little sucker over there. Maybe. We hope so. Well, here we are Sunday afternoon. The dreaded rainstorm never appeared. I went to the 22 fun shoot, and considering how bad I did, I'd have been better off staying home, I think. I think I got up and shot 6 times with the rifle, and I won 2. And I shot 5 or 6 times with the 22 pistol, and I didn't win anything. And the bad thing is I went there without any pre-built excuses. You know, if you're going to go somewhere and there's a chance you're going to make a bad showing, you need some good, believable excuses. Take care of that before you ever get there. Don't mess up like me. But there I was, doing terrible. Worst shot in the whole club. And that's what happened, yeah. So I'm not going to work in the shop this afternoon. It's late, it's 9 o'clock. I just got through sneaking out the garbage cans out to the curb. It's I waited after dark because it's, you know, forbidden, taboo, verboten, haram, you know. The neighborhood association says don't put your garbage out until in the morning. But I don't want to get up that early, you know. I've seen them come by, you know, at 6:30 and 7 or something like that, 8 o'clock. I want to still be asleep, so I sneak the cans out late at night in gross violation. Some people are just no good. I've been drilling on things here, and I'm about to switch from this bit to this bit. This is number 43. Why? Because I got to make some nice small holes where I can screw this thing down onto this little block here. And it's as close as I can come to the right size of something that fits well. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I finished the little trolley here. I'm calling it a trolley. I don't know what the proper name would be, and I figure it's okay if I make up a few words, because there's been a lot of famous people over the past 50, 60 or 100 years or so that have made up lots of words and they got by with it, so I can too, I'm sure. Anyway, I finished up the little trolley, and I did it with it all put together. I had to drill holes into the supports there on both ends to run the bearings, support the bearings. And these have got a tiny little bit of taper to them. I guess they're die cast. And so I'll have to put just a tiny little shim behind them on this side, the top side. But other than that, it's moving just smooth as silk. And this is the last part of this thing that's going to have to be done, other than maybe I may have to drill a hole to mount the motor. Now I've got a 5mm hole here, and I've got a motor with an 8mm shaft. That makes it a little bit tight on that hole, so I'm going to make a little adapter to go between here and the motor so that I'll still have this nice flexible coupling. And I thought at one time maybe I'd bore this out a little bit, but boring that out to 8mm isn't going to leave a lot of meat on there, I don't think. So that's probably what I'll do, is I'll just make a little adapter to go in here, 5mm stick out on one end and 8mm hole on the other, and clamp it all together. But once I've got this mounted on the gantry, then the next step is to start wiring everything up. And I've got wire here. I've got everything but a huge bunch of wire nuts. I may need to get some of those, but I'm ready to go on with the next part of it. Sorry about that. Let's go see if Bubba's doing anything interesting. Well, it seems like Bubba's got an uncle named Bubba Joe that been married about 35 years. Him and his wife's having some trouble getting along, and so they went for some marriage counseling. And when the counselor asked Bubba's wife what the problem was, she went to a tirade, and she listed every problem they ever had in all the years they'd been married, and on about the lack of intimacy and the emptiness and the loneliness and feeling unloved and unlovable. She just gave him a whole laundry list of unmet needs. She had endured just so much. And finally, after he let this go on for a sufficient length of time, the therapist got up and walked around the desk, asked the lady to stand up. She stood up. He embraced her and kissed her long and passionately while Uncle Bubba Joe was watching this whole thing, And she shut up and sat down and was in a daze, And the therapist turns to Uncle Bubba Joe and says, this is what your wife needs at least 3 times a week. Can you do this? Bubba Joe says, well, I can drop her off here on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I fish on Fridays. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.